Can you do both at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Because I've been practicing the VR. Um, uh,
Oh, I got mine today. I just got it an hour ago, so it's charging, but yeah, I'll
okay.
be playing with that all weekend, I'm sure.
Recording in progress.
I'm ready.
Welcome to episode 12 of Meditation and Aliens with Doro and Matt, a webcast that explores everything we currently know about the truth about aliens, human history, reality, consciousness, and the role meditation can do to help us understand all these things, and how we might all work together to build the best world possible for all beings, human or non-human alike. Meditation and Aliens is hosted by me, Matt Reddy. I'm an amateur ufologist. I have a degree in philosophy. I'm the creator of Hive1.net, an experimental social discussion platform for truth seekers and activists. I'm the author of a book called Revolutionary Mindfulness. That's about meditation and activism. I'm also an elected public hospital commissioner in Jefferson County, Washington. Each week, I am joined by Doro Kiley, longtime meditator, a meditation teacher, and an experiencer with many stories, and life coach extraordinaire. You can find more about Doro at her website, creationcoach.com. Now, on to the show. All right, we're here. How's it going, Doro?
Um, it's going great, and Happy New Year to you, Matt, and all of our listeners.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Okay, let me see here. I just realized I'm doing sort of something funky with the audio because I'm trying to live stream to YouTube. And so I'm going to give me a moment here to do a little switch up of my audio setup here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, switched that up. And oh, okay. No, I'm recording with the right microphone. I guess the microphone can be shared with YouTube and with Zoom, so that's cool. So we're recording, we're in business.
Awesome. Beautiful.
All right. So yeah, and this is episode, I think this is episode 14. Again, I played that old intro to the show. It said episode 12, but we're up to episode 14 of this fun podcast. What do you think about that?
Yes, we are. We're moving along, and the way it's showing up on my channel is getting pretty good views on my YouTube channel. So let's keep moving along and get people in and educate everybody. You've got so much good information to share every week. I'm really looking forward to these shows just to find out what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and our plan today was to focus on the legendary Stephen Greer, who's been involved in this alien UFO discussion for many years. Um, so he's going to be sort of our focus topic for today.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But before we get into, was there anything in particular you wanted to check in on besides Stephen Greer today?
No, I think I'm pretty ready to go into the subject of Mr. Greer or Dr. Greer. Yeah, he's putting out a call. It sounds like in one of his latest videos, a call for support. So maybe we'll get into that later in the show.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, okay, before we focus on Stephen Greer, I just wanted to talk about something else that's sort of really going on in the news It's not directly UFO, alien, or meditation related. It's Bitcoin, and and it might come up again, but there's this thing happening called the Bitcoin ETF. It's the cryptocurrency world has been pushing for the creation of a Bitcoin ETF, which is an exchange traded fund, which allows people to buy Bitcoin on a stock exchange. Basically, makes it really easy for institutions and everything to buy um, to buy Bitcoin. And anyways, this thing, it seems like it's about to be approved, and just the really interesting thing that connects to the UFO alien world for me is that BlackRock, the one of the biggest, wealthiest corporations on Earth, with like $10 trillion of assets under their management, has decided this year to participate in this and create a Bitcoin ETF under their management. And long story
Hmm.
short, you know, if there's a group of people behind the secret keepers, hiding the truth about aliens, controlling Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, which is who's controlling Mike Turner, Congressman Mike Turner and Mike Rogers, and basically our Pentagon, you would think that group is probably one of the wealthiest, most powerful groups on Earth, and that would mean BlackRock might be that group.
Oh,
So
interesting. You're making that connection. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, it's possible that the UFO alien secret keepers are right now joining the cryptocurrency Bitcoin world in a serious way, creating basically a fund that will allow billions and billions of dollars of people's money to be used to buy Bitcoin and put it into their possession. So they will now, because that's how these funds work. You know, the BlackRock will take your money and buy Bitcoin, and they will hold the Bitcoin and allow you to just, benefit from the price appreciation, but they are holding the Bitcoin. So it just sort of creates if these secret keepers really are hiding the biggest secret in human history, and what are they going to do the day the secret comes out? Do you think, they might just take the Bitcoin and run, or
Oh,
transfer it
wow.
to, uh, there's no reason they, if these secret keepers and these aliens are real, then the whole concept of countries and borders are not necessarily that meaningful to them.
Hmm.
They might be based right now in the Pentagon in the USA, so, but maybe they can just shift over to China and anyways, there's
So
my
so question, what is your inclination then to do with, I know you have a little Bitcoin and I do. So what do we do with our little shares? Is there anything that you would recommend? Well, I don't want you to recommend anything, but what would you do?
oh I think of all your options, I mean, you only have so many options. If you have, if you have someone has like, I don't know, $20,000 in savings, I would say Bitcoin is the best currency on earth to keep your wealth in. Um, but it's a crazy world. So I mean, um, I think Bitcoin is the future of money. So I think in 50 years, Bitcoin is going to be the foundation of the global economy, and other cryptocurrencies will be used. But we're right now in a weird transition phase, and I mean, U.S. dollar is a horrible asset. It's just they just
It's
print.
suffering, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they printed
Hmm.
like 4 trillion more dollars over the last few years. The U.S. literally has to pay $1 trillion in interest every year on their debt. And the
Yeah.
whole Bitcoin market is a total right now of only like $800 billion is the market cap of Bitcoin. And so I expect Bitcoin will, over the next, you know, 1 to 5 years, will, I expect it's going to go up in value tremendously. But I mean, that's why I think BlackRock and these big corporations are finally realizing they have to take a piece of it. They have to actually just start grabbing as much of it as they can, because I think they've realized they're not going to be able to preserve their wealth by holding U.S. dollars, because U.S. dollars is
Right.
going to keep on inflating like Argentina money.
Yes. So do you think this, if this is approved, it's going to trigger a bull market in
Yeah,
Bitcoin?
yeah. I
Yay.
think if it gets approved, I think it's there's going to just be floodgates, and there might be a huge pent up demand just waiting for the Bitcoin ETF to get approved, and it might get approved. It might get approved today or Monday. It's literally, there's a deadline. It might get delayed a month. You just never know. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think.
Time to get in, huh?
Well,
Get
it
your
could be
feet in the
fireworks.
water.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
and if it and so it's like I'm so ready to just watch this to see what happens. It might um, and it's gonna be weird because people are used to the Bitcoin bull market to be a bubble sort of that goes up. Like last time it went from I think it went from as low as $1,000 all the way up to $69,000, and then it came back all the way down to like 15,000. And so right now Bitcoin's back up around 43,500, and so it could spike literally in the next month to well over 100,000, and it might even do something crazier than that. And then, but it might come down. It might do some crazy up and down fluctuations. I don't, it's one of those,
It's
because
hard
it's
to
so early.
guess.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And now that institutions are buying it, um, it's unclear whether or not they will ever sell it. All these institutions and BlackRock, if they've been waiting so long to be able to buy as much Bitcoin as they can, I don't think they're going to sell it after they buy it. They're going to buy it for 10 years, for 20 years. They're buying it because they need to protect themselves against
Yeah.
mass inflation. So I don't. People might be expecting it to, if it shoots up to say 500,000, they might all people might, even long-term holders might start selling a bunch of their Bitcoin to take some profit, because they're going to expect it to come back down at least to like 200,000, but it might not. It might not
It's a
come down
game. Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, the longer it's around, I think the more stable it becomes, and I think that's why these other, huge corporations and countries are looking at it. The older it gets, the better it's looking.
yeah, yeah. And it's going to be interesting just to see how it evolves on Earth, because it's like after World War II, if you look at what countries owned gold before World War II and which ones afterwards, it was World War II resulted in a massive shift in ownership of gold, and the U.S. ended up with supposedly a ton of the gold on Earth. But then and then I think it was Nixon took us off the gold standard. So
Right.
he took us, he stopped having our currency backed by gold, which meant
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of the destabilization, I think. Would you agree?
well, yeah. I mean, it meant the currency was backed by nothing, so they could just
Yeah.
print it, and so it was sort of unclear whether gold mattered after that. But countries still hold gold. Um, but then the thing about gold is you don't know if they really have it. Like I think Fort Knox might be just empty. I mean, who knows if that gold's actually there? It's all these liars out there that are behind the scenes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so in any
Yeah. So
case,
this is going to be interesting. This is going to
yeah.
be very interesting.
So
Any
interesting
day
times.
now, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry. What?
yeah, yeah. Just interesting times.
Mm-hmm.
How this is all playing together. AI, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, aliens, all these things are, and robots, Tesla bots, all these things are happening at the same time, and yeah, we'll
Yeah.
know we'll know where it's going.
We're kind of going into the unknown here.
Yeah,
Um, a great teacher said, "We're just going into the don't know."
yeah,
So.
yeah. Well,
Mm.
so in any case, let's go to our focus topic of the day, and Stephen Greer, the
Yes. Yes.
disclosure advocate. Um, how would you introduce Stephen Greer to our audience if they are unaware of this guy?
Okay. Dr. Stephen Greer, he, as far as I understand, he is the head of an emergency department. He's an active physician. Well, he may be out of it by now, but he ended up, I think, back in the very early 90s, taking an interest in this because his father was somehow involved in NASA and aeronautics and space, and I guess ETs would come up in conversation from time to time, which perked his interest. So I think something happened, this was long after his father died, where he became aware that there might have been some extraterrestrial intelligence on this planet. And I think one thing led to another, and he started gathering information. And he became a hub. This is just the way I've understood it, a hub of information. So after gathering a certain amount of information, people started to see him as a place to give your information to, for if you're a whistleblower or something. So just to get your words on the record, he was apparently interviewing a number of whistleblowers over the years. He says to date it's been over 1,000 whistleblowers. So I don't know if he's a practicing physician anymore. I think he's putting his full time into trying to organize all this information, trying to get it out there, and working in the legal system and what have you, trying to break this baby open. He's more concerned, actually. He's not as concerned about extraterrestrials, but rather the technology that we have cracked from downed vehicles that ETs have apparently had visiting us. And that our government, I don't know, it started back in World War II or something, where we started back engineering this technology, and it ended up becoming a underground secret program branch, and I think it was right from our own government, Pentagon government, that this became a secret organization that even the president didn't even know about. And apparently they've had 0 point energy, free energy that they didn't want to release to the public because they can see the corporate value. It would disrupt the entire oil industry and everything globally. So this is his main concern, is to get these technologies back into the hands of the public, if they're even in existence. And he knows they are. He says they are. So he says most of what we're seeing out there in terms of UFOs, or I guess UAPs they call them now, unidentified aerial phenomenon, most of what we're seeing is actually from Earth, from here, from this secret program. And they have some nefarious agendas and what have you. So he just is the kind of a go-to guy who has collected all of this information. In fact, he's looking for help to compile and create a website, a portal for public information. And he says, there are only 3 ways, if I can remember, 3 ways of managing this problem of having this secret program. A lot of these whistleblowers testified in Congress this past summer, and so it's starting to open the gates. But he says what we really need are open hearings under subpoena, not in a skiff. We also need some kind of a law enforcement SWAT team to go in there. I don't know. This is all of this information is in his latest video for the end of the year, kind of a compilation of information from 2023. So he's approaching this like, we got to crack this baby open before we can even worry about ETs. So that's Dr. Stephen Greer. Would you add anything to that, Matt? How would you put it?
Well, let's see. He's been in this a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and you can find interviews from him over the last, I don't know, 20 plus years, maybe 30 years. Um, he one of the um, he teaches people how to use meditation to possibly call UFOs and the non-human intelligence to communicate or visit, called CE5. And there's an app on the iPhone or on phones you can get that sort of teach you how to do this. I think they have guided meditations on there, and they help you network and find other people that do this exercise. And some people apparently have success with it. Um, he says he says that basically none of the aliens are hostile to humans, which a lot of people in the UFO community, um, they find it very strange that he says 100% of aliens and non-human intelligence are basically enlightened and good and want peace with humanity, but that the bad actors are humans in the secret keepers on Earth, which is it's a very interesting assertion to make with such confidence.
That is, yeah. I haven't actually heard that, so yeah, I'll keep my ears open for that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and what he's I've never heard him address um, the idea of there being a non-human intelligence that has been cohabitating on Earth with us. The idea of possibly some sort of reptilian species or something that has been, because it seems to be, from all the research that I've looked into it, it seems that there's more than one non-human intelligence, and that it seems to me there is evidence that the most powerful non-human intelligence is one that does not come from Earth or doesn't live mainly on Earth. They have, and they are sort of but and I'm hoping they are enlightened and want what's best for humanity, and they're just sort of waiting for us to figure stuff out and achieve peace on Earth and trying not to interfere in a massive way, but that there could be a much less evolved, less powerful non-human intelligence that's living on Earth, that possibly was here even before humans, possibly a reptilian species that's been living in Antarctica and underground bases on Earth, and that might be the ones that are possibly participating in some of these less pleasant activities and doing, because there's so many people that are frustrated with Stephen Greer saying that all aliens are friendly, because a lot of people have experiences that seem to be connected to the phenomenon that are not pleasant, that are abductions, that are non-consensual. Um, there
now
are,
this is interesting because he believes that all of that is from this secret program that's actually us, the military, and so he says all the nefarious mutilations and abductions, these are all coming from this secret arm of this program, this secret military program. So, and I've also heard him talk about malevolent beings interdimensionally. He says it gets very difficult to comprehend because we're talking extra dimensionally, interdimensionally, we're talking timelines, and it gets very convoluted once you start trying to follow the threads. It's not just our linear consciousness that we're dealing with, apparently.
yeah. Well, yeah, I haven't heard him say that about interdimensional, but that's good to know. I mean, I guess the point is, he is saying there is some group doing abductions. At least
Yeah.
he's not denying that I've heard him, at times it sounded like he was denying the abductions occurred, but maybe not. Maybe no, maybe he was just denying that they were done by aliens. He's saying,
Yeah, as far
because
as I understand. Yeah.
yeah, because he definitely says that the part of the U.S. government that is hiding this, he says they have fully functional anti-gravity flying saucers and things like that, and Um, I can't remember if I'm getting it confused with Linda Moulton Howe, um, which one of them, or if not both, I can't remember. They say that the U.S. Space Force actually has full-fledged, ships that can go interstellar, that can go faster than light. So I can't remember if Stephen Greer said that was something he confirmed, or if that was someone that Linda Moulton Howe. So he definitely says the U.S. government has anti-gravity crafts that can do all sorts of stuff, and I think he says that we solved anti-gravity many years ago, and to
Oh,
the
it was
point
the
that,
year I was born.
oh really?
1954. Yeah, that's what he said. So that's been a long time. He said if they had not confiscated all this technology, we would be living like the Jetsons. Do you remember that cartoon?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so yeah, I mean he is saying that a lot of this stuff. In fact, this last video that he did, kind of a summary of 2023, brings up a lot of this. So everything you're saying has he sort of reaffirms in this interview that he does for 2023. If listeners can go ahead and listen to that, they'd be all up to date.
Yeah, I mean, we could play it if we wanted during
It's
this.
pretty long. It's about an hour and a half, actually.
Okay, well, we won't play it, but on the YouTube channel, I stuck up a picture of Stephen Greer.
Hmm.
Um, but so here's another interesting thing about Stephen Greer that is just sort of fascinating. If Because he is not in the club of the other UFO alien disclosure advocates, of people like Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo, David Fravor, David Grush, Ryan Graves, and and in particular, he and Lou Elizondo apparently hate each other, and
Hmm.
it's unclear. I mean, well, and I mean, I guess it's kind of simple. Maybe it's not simple, but it's kind of weird that they hate each other, and um, but Stephen Greer says that Lou Elizondo is a government agent. And he says, but I mean, but as I've looked at this, it actually kind of makes sense that Lou Elizondo is working for the government in this whole time, because if I have a picture I'm putting up on the screen that shows the major advocates of alien disclosure in the government, and you got a bunch of people, senators and congressmen, but you have Lou Elizondo, David Grush, David Fravor. Um,
Are you sharing your screen right now, Matt? Because I don't
oh,
see
I'm
it.
showing it on YouTube. I'm not sharing it on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
But I think actually I could. Let me see if I share that. Share something. Yeah. All right. So you should be able to see now.
I do. I see it now. Okay.
Yeah. So Christopher Mellon, I'm showing there, and he's former Deputy Secretary of Defense. He's like the highest ranking person to come forward, non-elected official, to say something going on. And he's clearly with Lou Elizondo and Commander Fravor, David Grush, and this guy also, Rear Admiral Tim Galladay of the Navy, is the highest ranking military officer to come forward, and Ryan Graves. All these guys, and also Alex Heinrich up here, they all seem to be on the same team, and they they seem to me, it just seems so likely that they are part of some government led group that is in favor of disclosure, and they are working with Congress and senators to come out with disclosure in a format that they've all agreed is the exact level of disclosure they're comfortable with. They're all comfortable saying it is time to tell the American people that non-human intelligence exists. And even Tim Galladay just went on Ryan Graves' podcast, and he said, it is time to tell the American people and the earth that the US government has been in communication with non-human intelligence. And, but it's basically, they don't really want to say more than that. They just want to say that. They don't want to say what Stephen Greer is saying, which is how much technology we've figured out from them
Yeah.
and what we can do. They don't want to go there. They dance just right up to the line, and they just want to say, yep, they're real and we're in communication, but they don't want to reveal any of the big questions, which is, do we have anti-gravity crafts? What are the um, yeah, what's our actual military power? Do we have a space force that's gone to other planets? They don't want to. They just they like beating a drum of, all we want to say is they're real. UFOs are real, and and now they are willing to say the U.S. is in communication with them, but they don't want to say what they communicated about, or so it's like they seem to me to be organized with that single mission, is just get it out there. And then, they want Congress and the presidents to decide, what to do beyond that. But these these guys here, they're not independent. These guys are not doing this independently. They are organized, and they are all basically military. These are all,
Yeah.
I mean, so I think they are still under orders. And so I think Stephen Greer is right. I think he is right when he says Lou Elizondo is a government agent. I think all of these
Hmm.
people are working. They're under order. They're under strict control. Alex Dietrich. Sorry, I called her Heinrich. It's Alex Dietrich is this jet pilot. All of their behaviors seem to me to be the behaviors of people that have been ordered to go public in the way they are, with the exact level of disclosure they're allowed to talk about. And so my point is, I think Stephen Greer might be telling the truth, that and for some reason, and Lou Elizondo really has been calling Stephen Greer a grifter and a liar and everything.
Yeah.
When he goes on podcasts, he doesn't name Greer by name, but it's clear he's talking about Greer when he does this. But I think it's just Lou just doesn't like that Greer outs him as a government agent. I just I just think it's, but I don't think it's bad that these guys are. I like the idea that the government has a group that is fighting and working together to try to fight against these secret keepers over here, the Pentagon and the CIA and the corrupt congressmen. Um, but it seems transparent to me that they're under orders of some branch of the government to do disclosure in a certain controlled way.
So my question is, just what do you think? Is this a planned, controlled disclosure, or is it some kind of a, getting people sort of prepped for bigger things to come, which may be all planned to get us into this one world government thing? What, I mean, which direction do you? It's
I
kind
mean,
of silly because we don't know, we can't know, but we can sort of try to tune in intuitively. What do you think?
I mean, I it's clear there's two groups. The secret keepers over here, the Pentagon, Raytheon, Lockheed, Mike Turner, maybe BlackRock. There's a group over here that do not want the truth to come out, and I think the reason the secret keepers don't want the truth to come out is because the once aliens are real and UFOs are real and the government's been talking to them, the next 10 truths that come out after that are devastating to the image of some people, and it's going to come out who's been committing massive financial crime, who's been deceiving the Congress, and also who's been murdering people, who murdered JFK, who murdered RFK, even who murdered Marilyn Monroe. I think this is going to be it's going to be the house of cards is going to fall, and it's going to be a domino effect of truth that is going to make some people look horrible. And I think it's going to make President Bush, both President Bushes, look horrible, because I believe, the first President Bush was in charge of the CIA, and the CIA and the Air Force has been deep in on this. So there's some people that are fighting just to not have any of this truth come out. And then there's this portion of the U.S. government and Congress and the Senate that are like, okay, we've got to let this truth out, and they don't care that it's going to cause a domino effect that's going to devastate the image of some of these people. They don't. They apparently are okay with that, maybe because they realize they're on the better side of history and they're going to be seen as heroes, and they must have some vision for how this can work out in a decent way. you
Yeah,
know, they
yeah,
they must believe that when this is fully revealed, they can also say to the people of Earth and the people in the U.S. that this is true and you're safe. You're not, you don't need to feel afraid because, and this is the part that I think they are upset with Stephen Greer about. I think the truth is that the U.S. government and the military must be ready to say, yes, anti gravity is real, and we have figured it out enough to protect ourselves from the weapons and things that can be made with this. But they might not be in a rush to say that, out loud. But it might be that's what they want to be. That's probably what they're able to tell the senators and Congress people behind the closed doors. It's like, don't listen to the Pentagon when they tell you you have to keep this secret because we're all going to die and be killed by the aliens or by the secret keepers. They have to be able to tell Marco Rubio and Chuck Schumer, look, it's okay. Let this stuff out. We are ready for any consequences. We're ready for Lockheed Martin and their secret military group to do whatever they want because they're not going to assassinate you like they did JFK and RFK. We've eliminated the group, the part of the CIA that was under the control of the secret keepers and willing to kill people to keep the secret. That's not going to happen. The we I'm hoping that they've narrowed down the really malicious secret keepers to just basically a corporate bureaucracy, like really taken away their ability to do any level of violence other than corporate violence and financial violence.
yeah. Yeah, what do you think of, and it's come up a couple times from certain officials saying that, if the public knew everything, it would just blow everybody away. That that even Greer says if it all came out all at once, it would just completely blow everybody's mind. It's 10 times, more strange and bizarre and interdimensional and planetary. It's just we couldn't wrap our brains around it. And I find that a little bit insulting. What about you?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely find it personally insulting,
Yeah.
and I think he's just wrong. But I mean, I think, um, but I think that the reason that this disclosure group is okay with it being come out slowly is because there was some concern about the level of shock if it came out too fast. Um, but I think humanity is way more able to adapt and learn. Um, I think, but I mean, there are going to be, the stock market might crash. There might be some riots and some revolutions, and I mean, yeah, I think some things could happen. I mean, George Floyd was enough to start a mini revolution in the U.S. So I mean, personally, it was like 7 months ago that it was shortly after David Grush went public on News Nation, and I started to, because before David Grush, I I was like, okay, UFOs are real. Something is going on. But before him, I was not convinced that the CIA and the U.S. government was holding alien craft. I didn't. That was like, you know, I was not ready to go there to believe Bob Lazar had been telling the truth. Um, but after David Grush and other whistleblowers confirmed it, I'm like, okay, well, the CIA and the Air Force, and that Roswell was real. I mean, before David Grush, I did not believe Roswell was a real event. And
I didn't
when he
either. Yeah.
confirmed that, and he confirmed that before Roswell there have been events, I'm like, okay, well, this changes everything. If that's the case, then the level of truth behind this is mind blowing, and the secret keeping group has been doing this for years. Then it was within a month of that on the same. Uh, I remember I was outside and there was a book released that said that JFK had sent a memo to the CIA demanding all info about UFOs and UAPs, and it was like 10 days before he was killed. And it was basically like, and then Chris Lato, who is a awesome independent YouTuber, former jet pilot, who's been I've been sort of following along with his journey in realizing these UFOs are real, and he's been just like digging into this in the same way that I have and trying to figure out what's the truth. And he sent out a tweet that day and he was like saying it seems clear they killed JFK. That they you killed JFK to keep this secret. And he was just like those bastards. And it was just like it hit me really emotionally
Wow.
when I believed that and when I realized that. And then I started researching it, and it became clear that they probably also murdered Marilyn Monroe. And I mean, if you look into Marilyn Monroe's death, it is not a suicide. There was like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so obvious that she was murdered also. And then there's definite evidence that she was being monitored by the CIA, and that JFK had told her about the truth about aliens, and that she was talking about telling people about this. And so I had this cascade of emotions realizing that because I was before that, the UFOs and aliens was a fascinating, fun, topic for me to dig into, just like the most fun, fascinating mystery of my life. But at that moment, I was became so sad and disgusted that these secret keepers felt that they had the right to just murder a president of the United States and murder his um, mistress to keep their stupid secret. I'm just like, I mean, it made me cry.
Yeah. Yeah. It just shows you how dark this
Yeah.
gets.
And then I went on, and that's when there was a time period you can go back into my Twitter history, and I was just like, you guys do not know the level of rage and riots that are going to happen when the Irish American community realizes you murdered JFK to keep this secret. It's like we're going to see Irish riots, Irish Catholic riot. I mean, that's my like heritage in Boston and stuff. It's like there's that right now the Irish American populace in those bars in Boston, they think UFOs and aliens are just some like silly joke, but it's going to get very serious for them once they realize you murdered JFK to hide this
Maybe
secret.
that's what they mean when they say it's just too much for some people. It's
Yeah,
gonna it's gonna create social unrest for a lot of people, I think, you know.
yeah. There's going to
I
need to be
don't know that I would
accountability.
go so do you, I mean, would we really go so far as have a revolution over this? I don't think so. I think people are gonna freak out and, have big, fire here and there and break things and scream and yell and but I just don't see a revolution. I see, and maybe this is just my optimism. I see that people are going to be shocked. People are going to be freaking out and demanding more and more and more answers. And I would just love to see the slate come clean. I mean, just let's get this all out. Just like we're trying to do with the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, which is just now starting to be broken open. So wouldn't that be nice to see this be exposed as much as possible without? I mean, I agree that we can't expose everything. There might be certain security risks, but for the most part, Greer is saying we've got to release this technology for the benefit of humanity because right now it's being used against us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a revolution in the U.S. I think there could be though a political revolution in the U.S. I mean, it could cause a
Well, there should be, right?
yeah. I mean, we're in desperate need of a
Yeah.
political revolution in the U.S. And in theory, in a democracy, that should be possible. Like a new political party could be created, and because it seems like the Democratic and Republican parties are hopelessly corrupt, and but now that it seems clear the Democratic and Republican parties, I mean, seems like they're not even going to allow, they're trying to keep like RFK Jr. and Trump off of the ballots. So they're trying to, basically turn us into a banana republic. Um,
Oh, could you imagine if Robert Kennedy Jr. is on the ballot and he gets elected. And I mean, the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to break open what happened to his uncle, and that's going to, I think, start a cascade of revelations.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've been, that is one thing that has seemed completely set, a stage set this year, for when I realized, JFK, this UFO thing ties to JFK and RFK's murders, because I think the same people killed RFK.
Yep.
Um, it's like if this comes out during this election year with RFK Jr. running, I mean, that is going to blow things wide open. And but it's amazing that RFK Jr. doesn't has never talked about the UFO alien topic. He has not touched it. None of the presidential candidates have touched it except Vivek Ramaswamy. He has said yes, alien UFO disclosure. He's like totally, but he is not like you know. Um, but other than that, they haven't touched it.
Well, I think Robert Kennedy Jr. He's dealing with a lot of bad reputation, because he's been, they've tried everything to snuff him out. And he doesn't want to add fire to that fuel. So I think that's why fuel to that fire. So he doesn't have to deal with that alien issue because that would just be a mess.
Well, but I think
But
that's the one that he could, that actually is not a mess. That's the one that, I think you could run with. You have Chuck Schumer. You have the leader of the Senate, but I mean, it also seems just set up. Like Chuck Schumer, Senator Rounds, Marco Rubio, these guys, that's a, those are the most powerful Democrats and Republican senators. Any presidential candidate that decides to say this is a real issue we need to get become honest about, you have these senators potentially could back you, could come out and say I agree. I mean, but it's like no one has done it yet. It's just but there's a lot of time. This could happen at any
I
time. You
bet
see it.
you, I bet you he would. I bet he's got a plan. Since we're on speculation here, I think his plan is to get into office, open his uncle's records, find out why his uncle was killed, and that's going to crack open the whole, UFO thing. That would
Well,
be
that's
kind of, yeah,
you'd
go
have to
ahead.
get into office for that. I think the question is what happens before the election. How much?
Okay.
And actually, I think everyone has a plan, a strategy. I think Trump, Biden, and RFK, they all have to know the truth and they all have to have a plan on how they're going to use this alien UFO and JFK assassination files and the truth about Epstein. These are all like massive things that they could make a commitment to revealing the full truth about. And I actually think they're probably Epstein, a lot of evidence seems to indicate he was a part of the secret keepers in the CIA. His
Yeah.
job seems to have been to get powerful people onto his island, get them compromised by doing something, and then blackmail them. It seems that basically was his job, and I'm not even in it, and he still clearly was murdered while in federal custody and covered up by the Attorney General of the United States. Tucker Carlson just did an interview with Epstein's brother, and if you listen to that, it's like his brother has been looking into this. The autopsy shows that Epstein did not hang himself. His neck was broken like by a karate chop. I mean, his neck was,
Oh
and
my
and
goodness.
and the marks on his neck did not match the way the marks would look if you were hung by your bedpost. They match, they're horizontal. They match what it looks like if you were garroted by like by a power cord to a light.
Oh
And
God.
his body was, the cameras weren't functional. The guard said they were asleep. It's just like, and the literally the guys who did the autopsy said it was not suicide, but then another medical examiner declared it a suicide because basically her evidence was because someone said he had tried to commit suicide, before in prison, which also his brother says is not true. He was attacked by another prisoner. Anyways,
Oh boy.
and
What
he
a
had a
mess.
hearing. He had a hearing 5 days scheduled for 5 days after his death. That was a hearing on bail. because he had not been granted bail. And if he had been granted bail, he could have gotten out of prison and started, living his life. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
And that might have been a problem for a lot of people.
yeah.
So,
So, anyway, so Epstein might be. We have to add to the list of the murders done by the same corrupt group of secret keepers.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
not necessarily that Epstein knew about was connected with UFOs and aliens, but it seems like it's the same group that is been controlling and manipulating things behind the scenes. This group in the CIA that's been hiding, they've been using dicey tactics for years to threaten and scare people and blackmail people to keep their secret. And it looks like Epstein was just a part of that club.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Stay
So,
tuned for more. Yeah.
yeah. So in any case, so Stephen Greer seems to be outside of this club, and he seems to be in favor. I mean, the thing that I wonder about with him is he is his agenda completely pure? Is he completely pure of heart? And I so want, I mean, I so want to believe everyone, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, David Grush, I just want to believe everyone is in their heart trying to do what's best for humanity. You know, some of these, people they're super into, nationalism. For the United States, they really see that as their club. I don't think Stephen Greer is a super United States nationalist type of guy.
He's not a politician. He's not in any way connected to government. He comes from a healthcare background, which is
Yeah.
really different. That's why he's kind of outside the whole box there. So,
And he's a meditator. And, I've
yeah.
listened to him talk about meditation. And so it's like, it's, I mean, I believe it's really hard to be evil and to practice meditation. It's just like, it's the whole practice of meditation is about trying to be honest about yourself and try to find the truth about consciousness and reality. And I think my impression, he does have an ego. I can tell he has
Sure.
some arrogance and ego, and he does seem to, like a little bit of attention. But but that is not uncommon, and it's not a fatal flaw of character. He does seem to just say but it does seem odd to me, his claims, his insistence that there is absolutely no evil, dangerous, malicious, non-human intelligence. But I'd love to just
Um,
ask him. I'd love to ask
he
him
does.
if
If you
he's.
listen to the last video, he like I say, he admits to pretty nasty stuff interdimensionally. So yeah, I'm not clear in my head if he's saying there's no bad aliens. Yeah, we can't know. I mean, there's so much we don't know, and that's why it can become a real anxiety problem for
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I there are questions, and how can we listen to what he says and keep one foot on the pier, without
Mhm.
sailing off into that whole story? So that's where meditation comes in. If we can stay grounded and centered in our own essence, in our own being, then we can listen to all the sides of the stories, everybody's side, and we don't have to, fight it or agree or join a party or, get all involved in reactivity. If we can stay centered, focused, grounded in our own being, we can touch on whether that feels right for us or not, without being caught up in the emotional, you know, uh, reactivity of it all. Because it's very scary for a lot of people. The whole thing, the whole entire thing is
Yeah.
scary. That's why it's so long. It's taking so long to get people to even look at it. I think because it is scary.
Yeah, it's hard to change your worldview,
It
to
is.
shift it and to learn.
It really is. Yeah. So, well,
Well,
did we want to do a little 5-10 minute
yeah.
meditation just to?
Let's do a concluding 5-10 minute guided meditation, as we've done in many shows before. I am ready when you are.
Okay, I got just as my crow starts crowing, my rooster's out there crowing at the front door. Can you hear him?
Oh, it'll be a wonderful addition to the
We'll add it
meditation.
into
Yeah,
the meditation.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's just do a nice settling in here. Let's start with a little bell. So let's just start with a couple of deep breaths. I mean, this is all lots of information and it can take our energy and just scatter it. So for now, let's just start to call that energy back in. Let's just begin to find ourself sitting right where we are and just acknowledging our surroundings. Let's just start with that. A couple of deep breaths and acknowledge our surroundings. And you get to listen and acknowledge what you're hearing, any sounds coming in through the ears. Feel the feet on the floor, the butt on the cushion, hands on the lap, whatever position you're in. Let's just be in our body for a moment. This is our anchoring place. As we begin to settle in on our breath and noticing what's coming in through our senses, let's see if we can become aware of that pure conscious point of awareness that's observing all of this. It's like we're centered in an ocean of awake consciousness. Sounds are happening, sensations coming in through the skin. Muscle tension. We become the observer of it and just feel our, whatever we want to call our self, this one pointed place of awareness. We start to realize that this is not a limited awareness. It can expand in all directions. This awareness is omnipresent everywhere. And as we begin to quiet and go into this deep space of conscious awareness, we can sense we're not alone. There are a lot of us out here. We're all connected. This point of conscious awareness is not just mine or yours. Everything has this point of awareness. And underneath it all, there is the one mind. We are like waves on the ocean. We rise up, we exist for a moment in time, We can look out and see all the other waves. And then we go back in. And when we go back in through meditation, we have the advantage of also seeing what's in the water, if you want to use that metaphor. There's a lot more going on underneath the waves. And this is the field of consciousness we all live in. Every sentient, existing awareness is connected to this ocean. It's in this ocean. In physics, they're starting to recognize that this ocean is actually plasma. We're just beginning to understand how it works, but it's showing how we are all connected. And what we express and what we attract is completely dependent on where we are in our emotional body. You could look at the chakras. Each chakra is a portal to a certain level of consciousness. So if you rest your consciousness in a state of joy, that's what you will attract. So from that portal, we can invite any higher consciousness to communicate with us. So a lot of people would call this an insight meditation, where you can gain insights just through being silent. So I would encourage anyone to practice this for a few minutes every day. Thanks, Matt.
Till next time.
Have a great week.